Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports for yet another live stream. And of course, as we said last week, when we'll be back this week, the playoffs are ready and the top four have officially qualified. Now, as you know, in the playoffs right now, there is the five-time champions, the four-time champions, the defending champions, and the Lucknow Super Giants right there. So that's about it. I mean, it's been a crazy games of IPL in the league stage. It came down to the last game to decide the last spot team who's going to make it into the playoff. And of course, it had to be Mumbai Indians who was the last one to get that entry. And so we are here to talk about it. We're going to talk about the playoff teams in primary because last week we did discuss about the bottom half teams. But this week, primarily, we're going to be talking about the teams who have made it into the playoffs and some teams who are very close in contention with the playoffs as well. So most of the top seven, top six teams, because with Delhi, with Sunrisers, we already did cover last week as to what were their fates because they were knocked out at the end of the last week. Welcome, Antariksh, on the stream. How are you doing? I mean, it's been a crazy week once again, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, the 10-game IPL coming to showing its color in its full effect. As you said, last game, I think the last 5 overs of this group stage decided a lot of people's emotions going into the next week. I mean, the likes of Virat Kohli on the line. So, man, it was just something else. Like crazy, crazy game, the last one, and crazy week, crazy week.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Because being an RCB fan myself, it was a tough pill to swallow once again because it went down the wire, and of course it had to be the baby goat, isn't it? Who just came and took Virat Kohli's hopes away. But let's talk about that. Let's start off with that game which happened yesterday, last night, because we'll talk about Gujarat Titans to start off with, who qualified themselves as number one team in the on the league stage. But this guy is something special. Two back-to-back hundreds once again there, scoring runs at ease, at will. You have to say, before that RCB was the SRH game, there was not a single game in the history of IPL where two players from two different teams scored hundreds. But after that, it is the second time around where RCB's Virat Kohli scored 100 and Shubman Gill scored 100, and the chasing team, of course, won as well. But we have to talk about Shubman Gill to start out with. This guy is special. Very, very special.
Man, he is special indeed. And I might sound like a pundit of like some sorts, but like 3 4 years ago, when he was in that, he donned that KKR jersey for the first time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just like he was inconsistent, to be honest. Like he was, but you can be inconsistent. But the 16 runs he got, they were like four cover drives. And like those were his 16 runs.
Hmm.
So like you just see that finesse, that talent in a player, and he seems
Yeah,
to be that perfect spot. He like we see a lot of young players these days. They hit these fast runs, but they're like sweeps and those not non-natural shots. He is
yeah.
one who plays all of those so-called test shots and
Hmm.
still gets them runs in
Yeah,
T20 cricket. So I mean, he seems a perfect prospect for any form of the game for India.
yeah.
For I don't know why
You
KKR
reckon
let
he's
him
the
go.
Virat Kohli's replacement for the future? Every generation we've had a Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli. Now, is that this lad for this generation?
Man, it's tough to say because Kohli himself seems to be going a mile. I think he's gearing on for his last 5 years, if I'd say so.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
five. I don't know. It'd be a stretch 6 7 if he goes there. But I mean, man, isn't he a player and a half? I think he has his sights set on these fastest 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 mark. This guy Shubman Gill, and yeah, man, we all feel sad for Kohli, don't we? Like,
yeah. We
however
do,
much we
we do.
troll him, but like he is our guy. Like he's the guy who's brought India like on top of the map. Like we were on the cricketing map, but he's brought us on top of it.
I mean,
But to just see him heartbroken yesterday after that 100 was just so, man. It was
it's just an RCB thing as well for him. He's seen it for
no.
15 years, and by scoring two back-to-back hundreds and still
Yeah,
ending up on the losing side,
yeah.
it's a tough. It's
I
like
think I think
adding.
I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
he
Go ahead.
might be the Totti of RCB. I think he might retire as
What if
of
he's the
that.
Harry Kane of Tottenham?
Oh man, no man. Harry Kane, Kohli's never been sort of wanting to leave somewhere close
Yeah,
to Totti, and I think in his lifetime he'd be lucky to win that one Serie A and
yeah,
the one
yeah.
IPL like the guy
That's a good
did. So
comparison, though. That's a good comparison.
yeah,
But maybe in
yeah,
international cricket, you compare them differently. But at least in the
yeah.
leagues, in the club football, in the club cricket, you can talk about Totti and Virat Kohli because it's been that kind of a story. But you didn't mention about Shubman Gill, and it takes me back to 2018 where I first saw him. There was Two
Hmm.
players, Prithvi Shaw and Shubman Gill, on similar path, but Prithvi Shaw was that guy with all the limelight because he
Yeah.
had scored plenty of runs in the domestic cricket in Mumbai, talking to him to be the next big thing in Team
Yeah.
India or in the future. And he had already made his Ranji Trophy debut because before the
Yeah.
Under 19 World Cup. And then Shubman Gill, I saw this guy for the first time in the Under 19 World Cup, and I was like, this guy's got the this guy's got it in him. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw it in the clutch
Yeah.
games. It's always Shubman Gill performing. Last year's IPL final, the Gaba Test match, the Under 19 World Cup semi final. It is this guy. Even yesterday, or we don't know what he's going to do in the playoffs, but this guy is a clutch player. He's got the mentality in him. He's got a beautiful technique, and you know what he can do. And now he's also not out of the cricket. He's also the voice artist for the Spider-Man in India. So
Yeah.
he's covered it all. He's got that. He's got the senses, the spidey senses in him to do all the stuff. So yeah, I mean, Shubman Gill is a very special player, but we
Yes.
have to talk about another special player who did score 100 yesterday. It was about the hundreds yesterday. So it was Cameron Green, the big buy of the IPL, turning it up when Mumbai Indians wanted him to perform. It was a destructive innings. I mean, let's talk about Mumbai Indians, isn't it? They lost Jofra Archer. They lost Riley Meredith. They lost Jason Barron. They lost this guy. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. I just forgot. I'll maybe just come back to it. And
Yeah.
just with Bumrah, of course.
Yeah.
And they lost all of these bowlers, and then yet still making it to the playoffs. That's an impeccable feat, isn't it? Because you have to say batting just overpowered every other team just
Yeah.
on merit and just on skill.
Yeah, man. I mean, Surya Kumar Yadav. Like, should we just start from there? That was the guy who's been, I would say, single-handedly responsible for taking that. Like, his confidence was low. Everything was seeming to take a tumble when he was not playing well. But since you started, and the way he's just gone on from then has been absolutely fantastic. And it's only a joy for Mumbai fans that Rohit Sharma seems to be chipping in now as well,
Yeah,
and the likes of Cameron Green, who seemed due for a big score. He was getting those. He was hitting the ball well. We could see that he was
yeah,
getting sort of those semi starts, but then not
mm,
convert. But yesterday was his day, as you said. Yesterday was the day of hundreds. So
yeah,
yeah, man, Mumbai fans can ask for
absolutely.
more. They've clutched. They've peaked at the absolute right moment, and they
Yeah.
have gone on and done it at the expense of Kohli's RCB.
Yeah. I mean, Rohit Sharma did say last year Mumbai did do a favor for RCB by defeating Delhi Capitals in that
Yeah.
must-win game to let RCB qualify. And Rohit Sharma did ask, "Can you do us a favor?" And RCB did do them a favor by losing. So yeah, it's a mutual understanding at the end of the day, isn't it? But yeah, let's look at the table because we are officially here. So it's about time we look into the table and
Yeah.
understand who have qualified. So CSK right there, as Prakash also rightly mentioned, CSK's fifth title. Is it eluding them? Is it like just calling, or is the defending champions gonna go back to back, or Mumbai getting that all-time record of six, or LSD with the maiden? So I mean, there's a lot of stories behind it because for Mumbai Indians, if they can possibly do it. Chennai playing at home though. How big an advantage is that? Because they're going to be playing the qualify number one against Gujarat at home in Jaipur. We
Yeah.
all know the crowd support, the Chennai backing, and how much they love playing at home.
Absolutely. Chennai and Gujarat, it's there. It's theirs to win. From the fixtures, from the standings, from like people's perspective, it seems as if it's theirs to lose. I'd say not win. It's
Yeah,
theirs to lose. There you go. Sorry. Yeah. But man, again, there can only be one winner even amongst them. But what a big advantage Chepok, Thala crowd, the Thala army, like it'll be anywhere. You play in West
yeah,
Indies, you play the IPL in West Indies,
yeah,
and
yeah,
have a West Indian captain for another IPL team, they'll still be crying out
yeah,
for Thala. So there you go. But man, yeah, the first qualifier. So CSK would try to wrap it up there. Gujarat, if they do end up, the second qualifier is at Ahmedabad. So
yeah,
happy days for them. Two of the
yeah,
best teams in the tournament going head to head. It's going to be a
yeah.
banger.
I mean, you have to say this was the opening game of the IPL as well, if you remember,
Yeah.
where Gujarat and the record suggests Gujarat has got three up on Chennai. Chennai still not yet
Hmm.
won a game against Gujarat, so maybe the first ever game in the home turf is something to change the fortunes. But this season around, Chennai have lost a lot of games at home as well. Maybe that's a slight bit of concern. Remember, Rashid Khan has not been a happy player for them to face against in the recent past. And even Noor Ahmed now, his doppelganger who balls left arm, is another bowler who has been doing pretty well. And Mohammad Shami, of course. I mean, that's where we have to look at the purple cap leaders board. Let's talk about this. there is 48 wickets among Mohammad Shami and Rashid Khan in close to 101 overs. And also add Mohit Sharma to this list because he's picked up close to 18 wickets as well. So that is close to 66 wickets among these three. And they've been the fortress of the Gujarat Titans bowling
Yeah.
attack, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. And I'm so happy to see Mohammad Shami up there. Like, I'm so thrilled, we see these purple cap winners. Most of the times they go out for plenty runs on or they're
Yeah.
people who, bowl at the back end and they usually get their wickets, which, being a conservative cricket fan, I don't really
Yeah.
consider them wickets. They
Yeah.
bowl those slower balls and back of the hand
Mm.
deliveries
Yeah,
and
I
get
agree. I
get
agree.
get caught on the,
We call them
get
the
their
rubbish
wickets.
wickets. The rubbish
Yeah,
wicket.
man.
Absolutely rubbish
I'm
wickets.
so sorry if there are any fans, but Harshal Patel is not a fast bowler for me. Mohit
Yeah, I
Sharma
agree with
comes
you
under
as
the
well.
same category.
I mean,
So
the T20
it's
wickets are just rubbish wickets for me. The
yeah,
death
man.
overs, you just hit up in the air
Yeah, man.
boundary. But Mohammad Shami is
You
a class act, bro.
you see fielders flying in and taking those blinders on the boundaries and bowlers celebrating as if they're Vivian Richards, or whatever,
Yeah, I agree.
Ambrose or some stuff. So but it's so good to see number one, a fast bowler and an Indian fast bowler, and who
Yeah,
hits the deck hard, who doesn't mess around with his fingers when he throws up the ball. The seam is upright. He just goes
yeah.
there and bangs the deck. Good
Best
length.
seam
He is
position in the world.
man up for debate, I mean, with the likes of Trent Bolt also playing
Yeah,
IPL,
yeah,
but
yeah,
no, man, just so proud and just so happy that Mohammad Shah, I mean, you could see. But
yeah.
yeah, man,
Absolutely.
credit goes to the spinners as well. And Piyush Chawla, wow,
I mean,
like
let's talk about
what
that. That's a very interesting
I,
story.
I mean, what an interesting story to have the best IPL of the season when probably people were forgetting your spelling. If I have to put it that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, Chahal and Rashid are the usual ones. Chakravarti sooner rather than later, he had to be in them. These are all
Mm,
mystery bowlers, but again, very good to see Piyush Chawla there in as well. Simple,
mm,
conventional, risk-taking leg spinner.
yeah.
Not many out there in the world right now.
Yeah,
One of them.
yeah.
So very
I
happy.
mean, you use this term in cricket called jigra, right? Like you've got the
Yeah.
heart in him to go out there and toss the ball and get wickets. And there was a beautiful story which Piyush Chawla did say the broadcasters as well. Uh, his son hadn't seen him play a lot of cricket prior to this, and he really
Right.
wanted to make a point just for his son to watch him play and know how big a player his dad can be. And that was a beautiful story in itself.
Oh
And look at
yeah,
the
it is.
motivation factors, right?
Yeah.
Mumbai, everybody were making fun of Piyush Chawla, like, oh, why did you pick him? The fun fact is younger than Kohli, though. But yeah,
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is, for him to make a comeback, and if you look at the all-time wicket-taking list, he's been part of
Yeah.
the KKR teams in two historic
Oh
triumphs
yeah.
in
Yeah.
2012, 2014. He hit the winning runs in
He hit the
2014.
winning run. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. Yeah.
and he's been part of Champions League. He's been part of the Champions League. Good, successful runs with KKR. But now this was
Yeah.
a point for him to prove. Last season was nowhere there in the mix. Now here in Mumbai Indians took the responsibility, picked up 20 wickets, taking Mumbai Indians into the playoffs. Now they'll be playing in Chennai as well. You never know. This could be
I-
just right in the plate for him to pick up another
Indian
two,
call up
three
on the
wickets and get them in the
cards.
next one. Yes.
Indian call up on the cards.
Indian captain is the Mumbai Indians captain, so
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, man.
maybe you never know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's interesting because you always get that slight bit of advantage if you're playing under the Indian captain in the
Yeah.
IPL. Yeah, you tend to get noticed a lot more if you're playing under
Of
the Indian
course.
captain. Yeah, that's why I feel even Akash Madwal, for example, has done a good job. But
Mm.
yeah, I think this is a good question. What do you reckon about this, guys? What about LSD under Krunal? What a performance!
I think the Pandya brothers, as I told you, they're a lucky bunch. They're a lucky bunch, although it's no disrespect to their captaincy, but they've just got. I mean, I don't know. They, at least Hardik Pandya, at least, yeah, Hardik Pandya has just got a phenomenal team to work with, and they
Yeah,
just seem to be unassassinable at the time. But Krunal's team has also stepped up at the right moment. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd have to applaud. It'll be bias of me to not sort of applaud the. I mean, especially after their loss of KL Rahul. But as we discussed, it could be a blessing in disguise.
yeah,
And any Rahul fans, I think it was a blessing in disguise, to be honest,
yeah.
because the captain and his batting form was taking a lot of limelight, a lot of negative publicity for them.
Hmm.
But I don't know, they've just sort of bounced. They didn't. I think it was a, yeah, as we call it, a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely. I mean, what are the odds of these two brothers meeting in an IPL final? Imagine
Oh,
that for the family. Imagine that for this a beautiful story in itself. Krunal and
yeah.
Hardik meeting each other in an IPL final, and the cup goes home either ways.
There you
So
go.
that's a beautiful story in itself. So
Yeah.
we'll hope such stories do happen, but we have to look into some other stats as well because it's been a IPL of stories. It's been an IPL. Let's look at the fixtures before we move any ahead. As we did mention, the first match will be played in Chennai. The eliminator will be played in Chennai. The loser of the qualifier one will play in Ahmedabad. And of course, the final will be played in Ahmedabad. So there is a home team there. That is the biggest advantage. Who've made Ahmedabad into their fortress as well. They've got immense crowd support there. But when Chennai plays, a lot of the home teams will have to take a backseat because of the way in which he plays as well, the way in which things go. Yeah, let's talk about the orange cap and some of the interesting stats as well because I mean RCB are out of the IPL, but Faf Duplessis, I mean, at the age of 38 to come up with such a performance, you have to say by far one of the best performance by him in the history of IPL single-handedly.
No doubts about it. No doubts about it. Coming in after retiring, many were surprised, and now they'd be more surprised as to how and why he's retired. I mean, he looks like quality through and through, even right now, and
Mm,
just feels like he could actually be something that South Africa desperately need. And does he decide to maybe do a Shahid Afridi as we call it?
yeah,
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, with the World Cup coming in, I think this is perfect selection procedure for him. Selectors would be happy to give him a spot or two there.
yeah,
And yeah, man, just phenomenal. You see a lot of those guys who were potentially in the mix having been knocked out. So man, Shubman Gill has sort of I mean something marvelous in these
yeah,
last playoff matches would need to happen for people to take that orange cap from Shubman Gill, which looks his. I mean his
yeah,
he has us men ruling over him. He has ladies, and now as you said. Now with the incoming of Spider-Man, he has the kids as well. So like the
yeah,
world's a fan, Shubman. The world's a fan, and the
yeah,
world's a stage for you. It's
yeah.
just a blessing to see that guy. Yeah.
I mean, he is the most marketable asset in the country right
He
now at this
is.
point
He
stage. I
is.
mean, it's a sunshine time for him all across. Maybe the
Absolutely.
vice cap. I think he's been given the vice captaincy of Gujarat Titans as well. He's part of. I think he's second in line after Rashid. So everything is working well for
There
him.
you go.
I mean, Indian call up in all three formats. Made an ODI double hundred this year and T20 hundred. And look at him, and two back-to-back IPL hundreds, and now his team in the playoff once again. He's already a defending champion of the IPL. Let's not forget that. And he's just 50 runs away from getting that orange cap. Maybe he could do it in a game. Maybe after
Yeah.
tomorrow's game, he'll be having that on his head. But let's talk about another interesting record, isn't it? Because it had
Oh,
to
yeah.
be an RCB guy going past Chris Gale's all-time record of 6 centuries. Virat Kohli back-to-back centuries in a week. I mean, we didn't mention about him at the start of the stream, and let's talk about RCB for a while now. I mean, how hard is it for him now to win an IPL? I mean, we did speak about the Totti comparison. What more can he do, right? I mean, you can understand RCB team was slightly depleted this season. You had a Will Jacks whom you signed, got ruled out at the start of the IPL. Rajat Patidar, who was your bright shining prospect, who scored 100 in the qualifier last season, got ruled out. Then Josh Hazelwood's injury, Bandhu Hasaranga getting injured towards that end. Reece Topley getting injured in the first match of the IPL. It's been an injury affected team, but yeah, he's been one big silver lining from the way in which he had disappointments last season where he couldn't possibly connect a single ball, getting three golden ducks to being the Virat Kohli at his absolute best this season.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. A disappointing campaign yet again, and decided by a one knock in the last group stage. How things could have been different had they won yesterday's game, and I just don't know what RCB. But I just think that for them to be in the position, like whatever injuries they had, I take my team as an example. I think we're the worst squad. KKR had the
Mm,
worst squad. They got there, and they only finished I would say one run behind RCB. They lost that game by one run. Had
yeah,
they made that run or two, they would have been on the same points as RCB, and that should just never happen. With the quality they've got. I mean, look at Mohammad Siraj this season. Like he grew. He grew his stature. We talked about him. Like he is one of the international's finest now. He's not just any domestic bowler or just an Indian bowler. And then they had the firepower. I didn't really expect much from Maxwell, but he did what he did, and TK, VK, Faf, just being the orange. I think it's kind of a Spurs job, a bottle job that they sort of did
Yeah,
within that middle session
yeah,
of
yeah,
IPL, and yeah, so just pretty disappointing. And you,
yeah,
who will be more disappointed than you, man? Like look
yeah,
at that jersey up there. It's sad.
yeah,
It's sad
yeah. It
times.
is.
It's
It is.
sad times.
I have a very interesting theory. I mean, a lot of people might not buy into me because the people I have seen a lot of RCB games historically, and I think RCB's biggest issue is their home ground. Because what
Hmm.
happens in Chinnaswamy is you lose the toss, you invariably go on to lose the match. And that's exactly what happens. With that small
Good
dimensional
point.
boundaries, and remember, Bangalore is almost 800 feet above sea level. The ball travels
Yeah.
here. And the
Yeah.
smaller boundaries are 55 meters on the side. By chance, you're bowling second in Chinnaswamy, regardless of the score you score. Until unless you score 230 every match, any score cannot be defended in
Yeah.
Chinnaswamy. And that's been RCB's biggest downfall. And in the last 3 years, when RCB consistently made it to the playoff, RCB played none of their games in Chinnaswamy. And that's been the
Hmm.
case. The last time RCB
Wow.
did not made to the playoff by playing in Chinnaswamy was 2016. And there was 3 years where RCB did not make it. They had very similar seasons like this, ended up fifth, sixth, and now once again ended up sixth on the table. And the major reason being Chinnaswamy lost 4 out of their 7 games in home. And if you talk about the best teams in IPL, they win majority of their games at home. Mumbai Indians for this season, Ahmedabad's
Yeah.
Gujarat Titans, Chennai Super Kings, or let's talk about Lucknow Super Giants as well for the matter. And RCB
Yeah.
ended up on the losing side primarily because they couldn't win games at home. And that's what we're talking about. If you do not have a home advantage, then you are searching for answers because it's very hard to go out and win in others' home. You might win a couple or three of them at max,
Yeah.
but then more often than not, you will be in a dangerous position. I know RCB won 4 of their games away from home, which is an impeccable start in its own. But if RCB were playing in a better ground, for example, with bigger boundaries, remember
Yeah.
in the Dubai leg of IPL, RCB was a very good team, primarily because of the bigger
Yeah.
boundaries. RCB could
Yeah.
do that because I've always felt when it comes to skill levels, I know RCB did not win an IPL in the last 3 years, but when it comes to batting skill levels, RCB has got it in them to overpower other
Yeah.
teams in terms of skill. Just by doing it so because if there's a mediocre team with batting skills coming into Chinnaswamy, it evens out because of the smaller boundaries. It evens out quite, it nullifies. So your strength gets nullified in Chinnaswamy. And similarly, when it comes to bowling as well, you might have a couple of them who does well, but the day your batters fail, same thing. If your ballers have a bad day, the opposition batters, even if they're not that skilled, tries to overpower you with the smaller boundaries in place. For example, Vijay Shankar has had a good season, but you're telling me Vijay Shankar is better than Virat Kohli? Definitely not in terms of the stature. But that's what happens in Swami, right? The moment you walk in, you get to do things because you as an opposition chasing team, in 10 overs if you need 130 to 140 runs, you can chase it down in Chinnaswamy if your wickets in hand. So that's what is Chinnaswamy, and that's been RCB's biggest downfall. And once again, I'll reiterate, maybe RCB will have to think if they have to start winning matches more out of Chinnaswamy. And that's maybe a way to go ahead.
Oh.
I mean, I know that's why I said I just started making a comment. People might not buy into my argument, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
back it up with stats.
No, man.
RCB only made the playoff 3 times in no 2 times when they played in Chinnaswamy. That is in 2011 and 2006. Even 2015, you can say to an extent, yes, it did
Hmm.
come close by doing it so, but it was lying on the wire. But two
Yeah.
major times when they really dominated in Chinnaswamy was 2011 and 2016, and they did not make it. So that's a story. That's a grave stat to look into because RCB's biggest graveyard is Chinnaswamy. It's a baller's graveyard as well because your home advantage is nullified completely. I know
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Man, you said people won't buy it. I think every damn person on the stream would buy it. The only thing that is a problem there is, the solution because,
Yeah,
people moving out of Bangalore, not, we know cricket and we know especially Bangalore as a team. It's in the lives of some people, like
yeah. But,
people's
but let
life,
me just
genuinely.
add to that, Antrix, the
Yeah.
atmosphere in Chinnaswamy is second to none. It's
Yeah.
incredible. You
Yeah,
want to
man.
be there. The atmosphere is the loudest fans in the world. In cricket, I would say is Chinnaswamy. But the issue is fans
Hmm.
cannot take you over the line in cricket. Like sometimes it
Man.
does, but more often than not, it doesn't.
Wow. Like, the way you said it out, and like mid Abel's rant, I was like, ye ek dukte fan ka dil bol raha I mean, I thought I was expecting just one statement, and then you'd ask, how is it, Antrik? You went in with stats and you just showed ki, it's years of pain, it's years of suffering. And I absolutely agree with you. You just snatched words out of my mouth as I was processing your statement mid rant. And I agree, you don't really need the Virat Kohlis of this world to clear a 50-meter boundary. You could do it with thick edges now. You have these big bats. You mistime the ball and it's gone for six. So and Virat Kohli's, I'd go into the microcosm and say, Virat Kohli's strengths, one of the biggest strengths Virat Kohli has is, taking 2 runs and taking 3 runs. You can't do that at Chinnaswamy. He has to go for that big shot, which sort of catches his sort of striking power off guard, and he loses his wicket. And he
Yeah.
can't do that. He can't sneak those doubles and triples, which he
Yeah.
does so effortlessly in ODI
Mm.
cricket. So
Yeah.
I'd go into that microcosm there, and I'd say, Gautam Gambhir did this, and as much as I respect AB de Villiers, and as much as I think he was too harsh there, but I thought he had an absolute banger of a point when he said, that Suresh Raina is above, way above
Yeah.
AB de
Yeah.
Villiers for me, because he does it
Reshna
at
was a
chip off.
clutch player. Let's all remember that. I mean, I respect ABD Williams, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, what? Maybe let's not
Of
compare
course,
the players
yeah,
in
exactly. Not
international
not
career,
going into
but
the comparison. Yeah,
In IPL, yes, you have to say Suresh
drawing
Raina is ahead with the
drawing
four
that
titles.
stadium point, drawing that, to be doing it at Chepauk and then to be doing it at Chinnaswamy are two different things, man.
Yeah,
Anyone, and probably, like, as you said, Vijay
yeah,
Shankar, as good as
yeah,
he is, as good as he's
yeah,
been, even with his potential and his performance this time,
yeah,
Kohli is like, there are
yeah.
levels to this, bro, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
But
yes,
I'll
man.
just add an interesting stat to this as well, right? I mean, why I'm backing it up is you look at RCB's biggest away wins this season. There's all happened in big grounds. Lucknow, one of the biggest boundaries in the
Mm.
country. Mohali, one of the biggest boundaries in the country. Let's add Hyderabad to the list and also Jaipur. 4 grounds with the biggest boundaries in the country, and RCB won in all of that game by dominating because the ballers came into the party and the batters outpowered the opposition team because batters have got the skill in them. So that's what I'm trying to say. That's
Satya pe
why because
satta, bhai. Satya pe satta. There you go, man. Point after point, you're going in on it, and I completely am subscribing to this, and it just hit me. It was that eureka moment for me. God damn it, that fair point, man. Fair point. At home you play 50% of your games, and what really struck me was when they've really made it, they were not playing at Chinnaswamy. Of course, they did a couple of times, but
in 2009, for example, when they made the
yeah.
final, they did not play in Chinnaswamy. It was in South Africa.
There you go, man. Fans,
Exactly.
fans. There you
So
go.
that's what I'm
Proof.
trying to say, right?
Hence proof.
So
Yeah.
sometimes your home advantage is your biggest downfall, and in IPL you cannot afford to do that. The biggest teams of IPL have always dominated at home. Mumbai, Chennai, even Gujarat for that example. Now they've all dominated at home, and if you can't dominate at home, and KKR in their peak years, Eden Gardens
Yeah.
was a fortress for them, and it was so tough to
Absolutely.
go out there and beat them. So that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, let's pick out the best team of the IPL and the biggest disappointment of IPL. I mean, RCB will set aside, but according to you, which team disappointed you the most this IPL?
DC. No, no second shouts. D and C together. I mean, they have a similar story to RCB, not the
Mhm.
exact similar, but passionate fans, capital of the country, people from all over the country. DC just has something to them, rebranding themselves, coming in with players, the coming in from the ages of Jayawardene, Sehwag, Peterson,
Kevin
and
Peterson, Warner,
Kevin
ABD
Peterson. Yeah,
Villiers.
yeah,
Can I
Ponting.
go on with the list? Megra,
Yeah, exactly.
Vettori, Dinesh
There
Karthik.
you go. There you go. There you go. And coming from that era, dominating the starts of IPL, then not being able to convert it, and then to this IPL where they yet again, finally, their version of Isala Cup Namde or whatever you call it. So, but disappointing, man, disappointing, and just the fact that people expected a lot from you and you didn't even deliver the basics, man. Come on, very, very, very few positives to pick out, but yeah, disappointing. DC.
For me, it has to be Punjab once again because a
Mm.
story which does not give me any answers over the years is Punjab. I mean, I don't know whether to blame the management, whether to blame the owners, whether to blame the captain. 13 captains in 15 years and close to 15 different coaching staffs, 15 different coaching staff in 15 years. So you brought a World Cup winning coach, former IPL winning coach of KKR, Trevor Bayliss, right into the system. A new mindset, English mindset. Shikhar
Who's their
Dhawan as the
coach, by the
captain.
way?
Trevor Bayliss, where
Oh,
who
there
won
you
the
go.
who won the IPL with KKR
Yeah,
in 2014,
yeah,
who won
yeah,
the
yeah,
World Cup with England in 2019. Uh,
yeah.
the English white ball revolution happened under him. And last year you had Anil Kumble, whom you ousted out. Okay, there are definite reasons why you ousted him out because he was tactically all over the place, and there was a reason. And when the Punjab team are pretty cutthroat in terms of not giving you any second chances, so it was about the cards. Some of your biggest players left the club, left the team over a period of Rahul, Mayank. Let's talk about that. From 2019 to 2022, they ended up on being the sixth position for 4 years on its own. They had the best team on the paper every single year. 2018, they won 5 games in a row, and then they bottled it to ended up being sixth on the table.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about once again a Punjab year where they went on to win the first 2 games, got 4 points in the first 2 games. I'm just going to pull out the table once again. 4 points in the first 2 games, and the next 12 games they just managed to get 8 points, which means they couldn't win anything out of it. Now that's what we're talking about. Punjab team is a mystery which I can never decode it for some reason. They look good every single season. This season, once again, the most number of runs scored by uncapped players, most number of runs scored by uncapped players is Punjab. Simran Singh by scoring runs, Atharva Taide, Harpreet Singh. We can talk about it. Even Matthew Short, for example, who not even play for Australia for the matter. We are talking about this team. This team is a disappointment of its own.
I don't know where it goes wrong for them, to be honest. I think it's some sort of management issue, or, as you just say, the continuance, the fluidity, because they're pretty cutthroat. They don't really let an atmosphere set in, and it's probably because of the over expectations and, the them not really meeting them by far. And it's just, as you say, like, getting the most number of runs from uncapped players is one of the biggest things that you need to do to be successful in IPL, and they did
Yeah,
that. But somehow they've just bottled it again.
yeah.
I
I
attest
mean,
to a
let's look
lot
at
of
some of
it
the
too.
games, right?
Yeah,
Defeated Chennai in Chepauk by chasing 200. No team in history, if you talk about some of the biggest teams in history, nobody has been able to do it. But this team did it. Now we're talking about them defeating Rajasthan Royals, who were in peak of the powers at the start of the IPL. They
yeah,
went on to defeat them. Went on to defeat Mumbai in Wankhede by
Anman, yeah.
Arshdeep's brilliant skills. Then you're talking about Shikhar Dhawan scoring runs. Shikhar Dhawan did get injured. You had the biggest buy of IPL in Sam Curran, but
Sam.
still no answers to anything.
I think, as you just mentioned there, I think, the downfall for Arshdeep Singh, at just probably the most wrong time it could have been. Those 3-4 games where he just went for bonkers was probably not suitable for them. As we just discussed, their batting was not really that big of a disappointment. They chased 200 plus in Chepauk, which by no means is a short feat. And
Yeah,
I don't really, I can't put, and I think it's pretty wrong if you can't really point a finger as to what went wrong, which means a lot of things went collectively wrong for
yeah.
them to be there. And
I mean,
I think,
what really
yeah,
surprises me is you look at the team, right? There is Shikhar Dhawan, there is Simran Singh. Phenomenal opening pair. Oh, there's a youngster, there's an experienced dude. And then you're talking about number three, whoever walk-ins. At times there was Atharva Thaide. You played
yeah,
Rajapaksa at times. It looked good. Okay, number three was slightly dicey for them, I agree. At number four, you have one of the biggest hitters in world cricket in Liam
yeah,
Livingston. At number
yeah,
five, you have this young player, wicketkeeper batter who's going to make his India debut, Jitesh Sharma, who's been like cracking it up by playing those
yeah.
10 ball, 15 ball at a strike rate of what 200,
Cameos, yeah.
250. Then you have a Shah Rukh Khan, you have a Sam Curran. And you're telling me, then you have Sikandar Rasa at times, who's an experienced pro for Zimbabwe. Everybody did a job. If you look at the season, everybody performed, but still did not make it to playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. That that is what you call bottling it. Everyone performed when maybe the expectations were low. Everyone performed
Yeah,
when it, of course, it matters every time in IPL, but
yeah,
you know what I really mean, when it did not matter as much.
yeah,
Maybe people did their individual bits, but when it was about to getting things over the line, when you need
yeah,
that cutthroat mentality, that championship mentality, I think they lack that cutting edge. Even Shikhar Dhawan, you look at his scores, phenomenal. But
hmm,
you look at, I mean, it's pretty. It's when we call in football, the how we're sort of seeing Ronaldo. You see Ronaldo stats, that they're phenomenal, but the team he plays in, the how he
yeah,
makes the team play, that's
yeah,
questionable. So you
yeah,
look at Shikhar Dhawan, even if you look at his strike rate, it's not that bad. But then when you compare, you rewind those games, and then you see
yeah,
the point at which he was playing in the game. Was it really
yeah,
necessary to go deep
yeah,
and play 80, 90 run innings, or was it wiser to start risking it from the 40 run mark and playing those big shots?
Yeah,
And many a times it was like they got the runs, but they still got the wickets in hand, but they didn't really have the overs left in them.
yeah.
Because so it's things like these where, and they played it safe even in bowling. Sometimes were economical, but then leaving it not being aggressive enough and not taking wickets,
Mhm.
rather focusing on the economical side of things, and then getting plundered around the park, as we saw with
Yeah,
Arshdeep Singh
yeah.
conceding those 25,
I
30
mean,
runners.
we did talk about Sam Curran. For me, the biggest disappointment has been Sam Curran, the bowler in the IPL.
Yeah,
Economic rate of 10, not picking up a lot of wickets, went for plenty of runs. You're talking about the man of the tournament of the T20 World Cup, who picked up
yeah.
15 odd wickets in the T20 World Cup, to not even picking up 10 wickets in the IPL, going all across the park. They had no answers. And Rabada, we're talking about the purple cap holder for two consecutive seasons, who's been made look like a schoolboy in this IPL. So the disappointment stories are a lot. Maybe there are some standouts in Rahul Chahar who really gave it out, but he had no support in the other end. The bowling failing has been the biggest issue for Punjab Kings, if I have to pinpoint at one reason. But yeah, Punjab Kings has been another story, another year. Disappointment galore for them. And I'm expecting another captain at the start of the next season, because Shikhar Dhawan personally for me was very questionable in terms of some of the decisions he made tactically. So, Preeti Zinda and that entire management group is very cutthroat, as you all know it. They might just announce a new captain already. If not, we're too late for it. So let's talk about another team. I mean, we'll talk about we did speak about KKR as well. Let's talk about Rajasthan finally, because I mean, one of the biggest bottling of IPL in the recent past has to be Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah.
7 games, almost there, almost made to playoffs at the end of 7 games with 5 wins, but then that crash landing of the worst possible sort. And to add to that, getting 59 all out. I know they finished on top of RCB at the end of the day, but they still were able to do it because of the kind of good net run that they had at the start of the season. But the crash landing was bad.
It was, and that what surprises me is that crash landing coincided with, I think, some of the best stroke play we've seen in IPL history, with Yashasvi Jaiswal just overtaking IPL and just showing world what he really is.
Yeah,
But again, a team who just did a bottle job of a worldly order, and where to point fingers, management, a lack of coherency with in the backroom staff, a lack of direction. Maybe getting overconfident after the start they had. Yeah,
yeah,
just taking it just too lightly. Not having again that cutthroat mentality of
yeah,
sealing victories and sealing matches way before. I mean, and also Josh Butler like a personality like Josh Butler just fading into the tournament as it progressed.
yeah.
So a lot of things where you can take a look at. But yes, man, another team that has just disappointed.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't definitely pinpoint because last year they were the finalists. Phenomenal team. Phenomenal team. Where we have to talk about the way in which they've been structured. One of the best Rajasthan Royals team. But, finally, before we end the live stream, you mentioned about the cutthroat mentality. And for me, the teams who are made to the playoffs are the teams with cutthroat mentality who've been there and done it. Mumbai Indians lost 3 in a row at the start of the season, but they know how to come back out of these situations. Cutthroat mentality, championship winning team. Chennai Super Kings found themselves in a point of bother after losing the first game, but then they know they can do it. It's not the greatest bowling attack in the world. Pati Rana is a 21-year-old Sri Lankan kid who's just played one game for Sri Lanka and plenty of game for CSK. And you're talking about Deepak Chahar, who was injured through Tushar Deshpande, who was a discard for Delhi Capitals, discard for almost every team he played. And you're talking about him picking up wickets. Jadeja, who had a lot of issues with the management, is back and picking up wickets. And that's the team who's there. It's just the mentality, it's just the leadership, and Hardik Pandya as well. Last season, that galore season which they had, it's that they've been there and done it. We can do it again. 20-point season is no mean feat. And also Lucknow Super Giants, they had some phenomenal team. And Gautam Gambhir being there is a massive fact. I mean, whatever you criticize him, whatever, whatnot, but his presence, his mentality is so important
It
in such a
is.
such situation, because he has taken KKR in similar situations. 9 in a row in 2014 from where they were. They lost 4 to 5 games initially, and 9 in a row to go on to win the IPL. So you're talking about
IPL.
that kind of mentality right there.
Absolutely. Kushara asking thoughts on the playoff ties, who makes it to the finals. We'll just come to that. But yeah, man, Gautam Gambhir, a huge personality. You see, he's almost still like a player there, with his aggression, and as how Dhoni's calmness is sort of personified, and really, in Dhoni, there's this aggression side to Gambhir, which I think deserves if not the same, a decent amount of credit. He just adds panache to the whole squad, and a sort of sense of direction and unity. I mean, you look the likes of Naveen ul Haq and how he's been just fearlessly backed on social media and on field by Gautam Gambhir is just shows the unilateral support from the management
Yeah,
to the LSG players. But yes, deserving. I mean, the top four, you can't really say that somehow someone made it by a stroke of luck or by a short run of form. I think every one of them have champions in their squads and champions who delivered. Some are through consistency and doing it over the years, and some
yeah,
just did it by picking themselves up at the right time
yeah.
and being clutch in the way they were, and deserving for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a 10-team competition, it's so hard to pick up top four because there are a lot of teams who are really good. And anybody defeated anybody in the IPL. That's been the story of this IPL. It had to come down to the last day, last over of the game to decide the last position as well. But let's answer this. What are your predictions? I mean,
Man,
it's
just before
very
that,
hard.
just before that, I think it's my heart speaking, but I'd just like to shout out because we talked about a lot of young players. Rinku Singh, man, we've got to
Yeah.
talk like just what
He
is the
almost did
guy?
it again.
This
He
he
almost did it
just did
again.
it again, man. He just did it again. I mean, KKR management should just I'd resign at this point. I mean, they gave some, if they would have given some sort of support to this kid would have won you the IPL, guys. He was in that way in a form wherein he hits sixes at
Special player.
will. He
Special player.
Where has he come from? Like it's not even it's just he hits sixes at will. He's not even he's just 4 feet. But he's just I mean he's just a
For me,
packet
yes.
full of
The
joy.
emerging, I know people talk about Yashasvi Jaiswal being the emerging player. He's been looking very good. For me, it has to be Rinku because situations which he was put into. I mean, Rinku does a harder job in cricket than Yashasvi. Yashasvi gets to face the power play. I mean, let's not compare players. I'm not a big believer in comparing
Yeah,
players, but in sheer adversity, who has really picked this team up? Because look at that team. He plays for UP, where every time he walks into bat for Uttar Pradesh in the Side Mustaqil Trophy, Ranji Trophy, his team is 3 down or 4 down.
yeah.
Similarly for KKR this season, every time we walked in, the team was an absolute doldrums, and he lifted the team up every single time, giving them a fight. He almost did it. He almost did it. This could have been a phenomenal end to the season by taking them home by hitting those three sixers once again. So, I mean, what a phenomenal player. I mean, India call up, he deserves it. He deserves it.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think I think he should be. He should be. It should be in the cards. T20. He has to be there, man. I mean, the way he's done it. And again, I just thought, there's some stroke of luck, but he hits sixes at will. And he now, once he used to be that slow kind of a player. Now he's now became that sort of leg maestro. Now he's doing it on the offside, low full tosses, finesse shots. He's got everything. So yeah, I just thought that it deserves a big mention. But as you asked me who makes it to the finals, I think it's one and two again. I think it's going to be the opening game of the season and the last game of the season.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I often say it's so hard to win the eliminator, the qualifier two, and the final. It's
And
so
the
hard to do
final.
it even in IPL to win 3 games in a row, let alone in the playoffs. And that's a
Hmm.
history, right? In the history of IPL, only one team has done it
Sunrises,
by
I
being the
guess.
eliminator. Yes, the Sunrisers in
Sunrise.
2016. No
Yeah.
other team in the history have made it to the final or won the final by winning all the 3 games, and that is because you are in a dead rope, and you
Yeah.
get if you play the qualifier one, you get another chance which you don't in the eliminator or in qualifier too. So
Love
that's
this
why I
rule.
still
Love
think,
this rule.
and if you're giving second chance to Chennai or Gujarat, they are definitely going to win the second game as well. It's very rare
Yeah.
that they're going to lose 2 in a row as well. So I think it's going to be Chennai Gujarat for me as well. I don't know who's going to win the IPL. It's tough, but I have to give 55-45 to Gujarat at this point. Defending champions, defending the crown in the second season. It's quite a possibility, but can there be a fairy tale of Dhoni lifting it and equaling Mumbai's record? Or Mumbai coming out of nowhere and winning their sixth? If anybody can do it, it's Mumbai, guys, because they have got a
Absolutely.
story in themselves as well. So beautiful stories. I'll say at this point of stage, Gujarat are the slight favorites to defend the crown
Yeah.
because they've got the team and they've got the bowling attack. Because I often believe bowlers win you titles, batters win you games, and that's why I say it. And this time, there's a batter who can win you games, and a bowlers who are there to win the championship in Shubman Gill and Rashid and Shami as well. So that's about it from us. It was a pleasure taking all your questions for the day. Thank you all
Yes,
for
man.
joining me. I saw a lot of people joining, so thank you for that. Thank you, Antariksh. It was a pleasure talking once again. We will do a preview before the final. I think. I hope our predictions are
For
right
sure.
on
We
Saturday
will.
when we come back for the
Yeah.
preview. I hope we are talking like, yeah, we made it right on Monday. So I know it's very easy to make predictions when you're sitting in the
Yeah,
playoff cards, but yeah,
yeah,
it has to be something of a special sort to sit on Saturday and maybe talk about what could be a coveted final. And also, we'll be talking about football as well. We'll be back the midweek to talk about football because a lot of teams did win we did talk about Premier League wins. We are going to talk about some of the teams who have really been doing it in Bundesliga as well, because remember, Dortmund is right there to get their Bundesliga title in 10 years' time. So we're going to be talking about all these stories on Thursday when we'll be back for the live stream for football. And to add to that, just follow the Instagram page and also subscribe to this channel so we can keep bringing you all this exciting content. Me, Antariksh, will be joining you almost every week talking about it, because after IPL, the action doesn't stop. There's a WTC final, guys. India playing right in it. And also the Champions League final to add to that. And also European finals, Conference League and Europa and FA Cup final.
oh
We're going
yeah.
to be there throughout it all. It's the finals week from June 1st to June 13th, all the finals. And we're going to be here covering all of them for you. So have a good time, all of you. See you all very soon.
Take care.